Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Hover, the purveyor of fun and founder of the Palette Community, and welcome to Here for It Live. This show is my chance to talk one-on-one with inspiring members of our community and beyond about how to show up as your authentic self in career and in life. And today, my guest is the amazing, the incredible Karen Carey.
Woohoo! So happy to be here.
Yes, it's been a while. I feel like it has been like a too long since we have chatted.
Months.
It has
More.
been
A
months.
year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to kind of introduce you, I was trying to think of like the first time that we ever met, and it's been I can't bring up that memory.
I remember. I
Okay.
remember. I was doing a program at a group that you belong to, and we were doing the essence process.
At the yeah, it was the business development group with the
Yeah.
chamber. This
Yes.
is way back. This is
Yeah.
like before I had kids.
Yes. Oh, maybe. Yeah, it was a while ago. Probably, I don't know. Too long to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and what were you presenting on? Like the different personalities or different generations and how they show up?
No, it was more like who you are, how you show up. Remember, you had to stand up in front of the group and they said the
No.
word, what do they see in you? And you were like, I don't know about this stuff.
I
This
don't
is too
remember
weird for
this.
me. Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun. It was really great. It's a
I
really
mean,
cool.
it's interesting. It's like it just goes to show I've been doing like I'm obsessed with like self-development, self-help,
Yep. Yep.
whatever you want to call it. And the longer that you do it, the better you get at it.
Yep.
And now I can't even remember what I was like before I started.
Yeah. Isn't that great though?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't. Now there are times when things happen where I'm like, oh, the old version of me would have reacted this way, and
Yeah.
here I am not letting this get to me.
Yeah.
I used to take things a lot like very personally. I mean, I was
Yeah.
self-absorbed. I thought the whole world revolved around me. If
It
my brother's
doesn't.
watching, well, no, it doesn't. If my brother's watching, he's like nodding his head yes. I think he still thinks I'm this way. That is something that I would love to talk to you about. Is like how I like read something recently where it's like there are people out in the world who literally don't know who you are anymore, right? Like they don't maybe they don't see you every day. They don't see how you show up. They don't see how you demonstrate like you've grown up, your maturity level, your emotional intelligence. So they still think of you as like this old version of yourself.
It's so true, especially like I think about my children who are grown adults and have their own lives, and they're so awesome, all of them, and they're all so unique. But I don't live next door to them. So I don't like I see them at Christmas, we talk on the phone, but I don't know like what their routines are or what kind of food they like anymore. So when they come home, I realize this is like over the last year, I realized I cooked the same food I did for them that they loved when they were kids. And I'm like, probably time to think differently about that. So I think it's more we make assumptions, the four agreements. One of the four agreements is making assumptions. And I have to catch myself, especially with people that we're close to. I mean, that's how it works,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, and like, yeah. So what are the four ones? It's don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Oh, like you're gonna test me here.
No, I'm not.
Impeccable with your word,
And always do your best.
and always do your best. And is there like a five one that's like out there in the ether that
Yes.
is like being decided upon by the leaders of this
It's
the world?
it's like it's like trust yourself, but learn to listen, something like that. It's not
Oh,
exactly that. I've got it right here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Oh well, anyway, I have it stuck somewhere, but I just changed my room around, so it's not right in front of me at this moment.
So
But
who wrote this book, The Four Agreements?
Don Miguel Ruiz, and he and his son have written a lot of books, and it's easy. It's simple information, not easy to learn how to not take things personally. If we all did that, like the whole world would change.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean,
Right?
just the like going back to what I said earlier, just like the idea that the world does not revolve around you and that you are a blip in someone's day.
Yeah.
Like even my husband, even like the the people that you love the most and that love you the most, they have other things going on in their brains and in their days and in their routines, and it's impossible to think of everyone all the time.
Yeah.
You think of yourself the most out of anyone, right? Like
Absolutely.
naturally.
And nobody really cares that much about you, to be honest with you. They might want to fix you, they might want to change you, but we're all so self-absorbed that, like it's so ridiculous for us to for me to worry about this video. Like I was like, I always get a little uncomfortable before I get on something, or whether I'm teaching a class or being interviewed or having a conversation, it doesn't matter. And I say to myself, what are you talking about? Nobody gives a crap about what you say or what you do or what you look like or if you fumble or mumble, or nobody cares. Like what they want is what's in it for me. Everybody's favorite radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? I heard that like 40 years ago. And I was like, oh, some things we never forget, right?
Right.
The
Yeah,
things
no,
that
it's
matter.
it's so true. And it's like and just the awareness of that is so important, like and we say it all the time, like don't take yourself so seriously. Like
Yeah.
it's no big deal. I mean, the amount of times that I like embarrass the hell out of myself, it's like it happens so often and so frequently that I can't even pick one thing out of my head about like like what's your most embarrassing moment. I'm like, I'm embarrassed daily all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of it is brought on by myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's in it for me? Oh yeah,
Yeah, my new favorite radio station. Yeah, no, it's like so interesting, and I don't know how you instill that in. I feel like one of the main like the the first time that I really became aware of this is obviously became a mom, and I'm like, oh my god, now this other person is alive that I
Mhm.
created, and now my world revolves around that person. But then again, you have to like not feed into that either. I
Yeah.
told Cozy at an early age, like, you joined my life, okay? So obviously I
Yeah.
was a little self-absorbed. I'm like, you are my child. My life does not revolve around you. I still had work to do even after becoming a mom, but I just like the idea that like the other like mind shift thing that I did is like embarrassing myself publicly really makes other people laugh their asses off.
Yeah.
So
I, what do you get embarrassed about?
I'm
Because
bringing joy. I'm bringing joy to other people's lives.
you're so funny and you're so willing to put yourself out there. I love that. Everybody loves it. It makes people feel more like, oh, life is real. Like, I'm sorry, but if I could just say, all these coaches like myself who are looking so perfect, no one's life is perfect. Not one single person on the planet. Well,
Yeah.
maybe there's two or three people on the planet that it doesn't, they still say centered and, mindful and all that. Doesn't mean they don't have an emotion. Doesn't mean that there's, like, oh,
Well, yeah, it's
nothing's
frustrating.
perfect.
Well, and the other piece of it too is I think like, obviously social media just like completely warps the brain.
Right.
And I think that, what I have really started to practice is like to not overthink it.
Yeah.
Like just post it. Just post it. It's
Yeah.
the truth. I said what I said. I said what I said. I meant what I said. And if people don't like it, fine. Just keep scrolling. You're gonna scroll anyway. So just keep on going, and don't absorb what I just said or did that pissed you off. It's just like keep scrolling, you know? But I just thought of an embarrassing moment. So and we posted this like almost immediately. So Jess, our social media expert, she does all of our social media. She's incredible. She's with the Social Localist. She was doing a little reel or whatever, and we were doing like this Beyonce trend where like everyone dances and like gets low or something to this song. And of course, I'm like, I need to do something more. Like we gotta bring it up a notch, you know. And so I was like, I'm gonna run in and jump on the chair and dip on the chair. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure, Catherine, do it. Do whatever you want to do. And I did that, and I fell and backwards and totally. It was all captured on camera because she was like trying to film another thing entirely. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm fine. This is, of course, this would happen."
Fortunately, my most embarrassing moments are not on camera. They were previous to this, current time where everything is filmed and out there, and don't walk down the street and, scratch your ear because, I mean, it's like,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I think that like everyone has that, and luckily it's not always filmed, but when it is, it's so good.
Yeah.
I think the other misconception about me is that I am truly this way. I'm like this way. Like my personality is like this when I'm talking to you, when I'm talking, to the garbage man.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the most important person I've ever met and how I spoke to them. I'm sure I just like was myself.
Who was it?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the most important or most like leveled up person I've ever met. I don't know. Aren't we all on the same level?
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like,
I just don't like put anybody really on a pedestal, myself included. I'm not like, oh my God, I spoke to Karen Carey today. Yeah. Look at me.
Oh, I hope not you.
I just think like we're all just humans having conversations, and if you take something away from this one, great. If you don't, also fine. You do you. Okay, so let's talk. I want to talk more about coaching and how you got started as a coach and what has made you so good at it. You're really good at
it. Thank you. I love what I do. I think I was born for this. The story I tell sometimes is how I started out was when I was 14, I was hit by a car and I was in the hospital for a long time. And 2 nurses used to come in and tell me their life story and ask my advice. And I'd be thinking to myself, I'm 14. I really don't have advice. But I'd come up with my best. And, they tell me one girl, her boyfriend was rich and he was her fiance, but she didn't really like him that much. And the other one had family troubles. And, so that sort of started me out. And I think I was just born to do this. And my path was, it took me a journey to get here. I studied so many things. And you know why? Because actually, I knew that I needed to personally evolve as a human. And I was kind of a mess for a long time. If you met me, you probably wouldn't know that. I had migraines. I was, dysfunctional. I had so much trauma in my childhood. And what's cool about it is that I made so many mistakes in my adult life and my child life that I know a lot about everything. And I studied, I became a transpersonal counselor and a Reiki master and a reflexologist and a yoga teacher, and went to school for a year for coaching. And since the coaching school, I just never looked back. Like, I love what I do. I love transformation. I love watching and being a witness to people's lives changing and being part of it. And also, like, I'm constantly evolving myself. When I taught the 4 agreements, I got to the point where I almost didn't take things. I almost got to the point that he talks about where your mind, you just use it when it's necessary. And the rest of the time you're just present and being, but it scared me too much. I was like, what am I going to do if I'm not my mind isn't all crazy. What's that? I don't think I can do this, and I stopped teaching it, and but I kept the principles, and I've done a lot of work on myself. And so I think that's what makes me a good coach. And, I can kind of see through the BS, and I'm not afraid to, well, you can tell me if this is true. Like, most of my clients feel very confronted and very loved at the same time.
Yeah, well, you just don't sugarcoat it, and you don't like walk around on eggshells and figure out like, okay, well, maybe we'll address that later. You're like, look, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I see. Let's talk about it, So I think that's awesome. And I think it's important for us all to have these people in our corners to call us out when we're, out of line, or when we're just doing stupid shit, we're not even aware of it, and I think that's the other piece of it is like, I am big on surrounding myself with people who want to see me succeed, want to see me evolve, and do care about me, right? So they are always, they always have my back. They always are looking out for me. They're always not always calling me out, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I feel very supported and protected and encouraged. And that's not unique to just me. That's unique to anyone that's part of this community. There's a sense of vulnerability on day one, where we're like, look, we got you, and there's no judgment. And I think it's been really demonstrated, like, it's been broadcasted almost like that whole idea and that work that we're doing at Palette it's been very clear over the last 2 years. And it's a cool feeling. And we're just all just like advancing. And, this is the other one I wanted to ask you about is like, I always say like Karen Carey's been a coach since before coaches were trendy, or before coaches like were a thing. And, and like, you were a coach before everybody was a coach. Do you know what I mean? Like, when people say like, oh, everybody's a coach now. Everyone has a course and they're a coach and they're doing this and self-development. And it's just like, you were doing all of this before it took off.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I just think like, I would say a lot of your success has been because you've been consistently doing this for so long.
Since 2009. And the other thing is, I was, as you some people know, I was in the beauty industry for years, and so I stood behind a chair. Right. And you know how when you go to the hairdressers, you're like, I had people in the salon tell me, I've never told anybody this before. And it's in the middle of a salon. And I'm like, we're over in our little corner, but, so it's once again, like I ran into a former client of mine recently, and I hadn't seen her in like 20 something years. And she said to me, I miss you. She said, our conversations were amazing. The wisdom that you always had for me. So once again, I was kind of born this way, but I kept getting opportunities to practice it, right? My whole life, like I've been doing this. And then to make it official and get the tools around coaching, I really like that. I know you don't need to be certified to be a coach, actually. And there's a lot of different kinds of coaches. But I love this combination of, I like to work with entrepreneurs and business people so that they can, because our life isn't different than our business. What do they say? Who you are everywhere. Who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. And so the challenges that we're having at home will come into work, and at work come into home. And, we've got our strengths and our shadows that we carry around. We don't even, like you were saying, we don't even know that we have them. And one thing I would like to add that you said is, instead of being called out, I feel like people are calling us in, like, okay, let's get you into yourself. Let's get you into the room instead of,
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I love that, because it's like, because being called out has historically been a negative thing. So that's something I'm writing down, because like, I love that. Instead of being called out, you're being called in to be more of who you are, or to show up for yourself, and and like hold up the mirror. The other thing that came to me when you were just talking about is like something that I've heard, like, I don't need a coach. I have friends.
Yeah.
Some of my friends would not be good coaches, like one in particular, she literally does just she's very supportive, and she's very, you're doing such a great job, you're doing such a great job. Just keep going. That's a good friend, and I love her to death, but it's not what I always need to hear. And, that's not what I need to know. Like, I already know that. I know that I'm doing a good job. I do my best every damn day. And sometimes I fail miserably. Sometimes, not the case. But my point is that, like, a good friend is not a good coach.
Right. It's two different things. To me, coaching is about non-judgment one way or the other. Am I a cheerleader for my clients? You bet. I really am. At the same time, like, once again, it's about leading people to their own conclusions, hearing their own voice, hearing the messiness that they're living in, hearing the judgments and the criticisms that they have going out there. I remember one time sitting in our living room and my husband said something to me, and it was like 8 years ago or whatever. I mean, we have a thing about once or twice a year for about 5 minutes. We've done a lot of work, and he said something, and I heard something, and I got a little upset. And then my friend later, she took me aside and she said, I didn't hear that. Like, that's not what I heard him say. And I was like, damn, I went way backwards. And I was like, okay, that's cool. It's good to remember now and again what it's like to get triggered.
Yeah. Well, so like two things. First, like, that's one of the things that you taught me and Mark early on, like to do the responsive listening, right? Like, so to repeat back what I hear you saying is this. And usually 9 times out of 10, he's like, no, that's not what I said. You're not listening. You're not listening. That's not what I said. I'm literally repeating the words back to you. So we have, that has worked for us. And you have to do it in a way that is like very, I don't know, emotional ninja like, because it can come across like, well, what I hear you saying is
right.
So
right, without any charge.
You have to be like, listen, I'm literally just repeating this back because I'm comprehending what you're saying. I'm trying to understand it. What's also really cool is when there's a trigger that happens and when you don't react the old way, it is so awesome. And it's almost like this just happened to me this week. And it was a conversation where normally it was heated, and just like hot. And I was just like, this is now entertaining to me because you're speaking to me with total disrespect. You're not hearing what I'm saying. And now I'm just being entertained by this total malarkey, I just like, I'm like, this is so fun now because now it's like something has switched in me where it's like, I don't react to somebody else's bad behavior or disrespectful communication to me. Oh, and it was so good. I mean, I hung with the phone, and I called someone else, and I was like, oh my God, listen to what just happened. And I didn't respond. It was amazing. And then he hung up on me, and I was just like, it was awesome, And then I called my mom, I called my brother. I was like, I'm growing as a human. I'm texting my brother like, oh my God, I wasn't triggered. It was amazing.
10 gold stars.
And then my other friend told me, she's like, okay, but now the trick is to not even like, okay, I don't even know if this is going to make sense, but do not put yourself in positions that are going to trigger you or to test you. Like, why do you even put yourself in that situation? So just literally not picking up the phone to call that person. So you have to stop before that because, and that's the piece that now I need to really work on because I like to test myself and I like to poke the bear and I like to challenge myself in these ways. And it's that in itself is toxic, so.
I got it.
Now, does that make any sense? I don't know if I communicated that, like, I don't know.
Well, are you saying don't create the drama? Like, obviously you got triggered by something, it sounds like, and then you ended up either texting or calling or whatever, And then that poked the bear. And then you were like, oh, let's see how I can do this. And, instead of like, oh, that's a trigger. What do I need to do right now? Let me see. Can I just feel this feeling without having to fix it? Can I take a walk right now and take a breath? Or, what can I do different than the normal reaction that I had? And it's just step by step. Like, hey, it doesn't happen in 15 seconds, folks. Hello. Doesn't.
Right.
I don't care what anybody says. It's not possible. It takes time and practice. And we have to practice it for our entire life. Did that make sense how I said
Yeah.
it though?
Yeah.
Is
And
that
you
what
don't,
okay.
you don't have to like shout it. You don't necessarily have to shout it from the rooftops that you've evolved as a person, like, isn't that what we're supposed to always be doing? So for me, I've focused that energy into spotlighting other people like yourself on this program to talk about how awesome you are. And that has really made me feel good. So
it also helps people to hear a story of your evolution. We all need to hear how people are doing. I think I've shared with with me and every other couple and anybody who's in a relationship. Like when we first started doing this reflective listening, I decided myself, like I was going to take that on. Like, this is important to me. I'm sick of myself. I'm sick of this combination of things that we have going on in my reactions and defensiveness and behaviors. And so, like, if it started, I would say, so is this did I hear you right? Is this what you said? And he'd say yes. And I'd say, tell me more. And he'd tell me more. And he'd tell me more. And he'd tell me more. And sometimes it lasted for like 2 hours. And I just would sit and feel it and not have to fix it. And I gained the capacity to be able to not react. It doesn't mean that I'm 100%. Sometimes I'm reacting on the inside and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what just got triggered? Like, I can feel it. I had 1 week a few months ago, I just felt angry. I had nothing to be angry for. There was literally nothing. But sometimes there's old emotions that just start rising to the surface saying, hey, I'm here. Don't forget me. And we can decide to take that on, or we can decide to feel it without having to fix it. And then, have our conversation and let it be. And we keep gaining the capacity to experience our emotions without having to go crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like so fascinating to hear you put it that way. You always communicate it also effectively, and
Oh, thank you.
it does. It's like I always walk away with like something new. So for me, it was the "What's in it for me" radio station, and the call in instead of the call out. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
love
you.
speaking to you. I can't wait to see you in person in real life again. Spring is here. I mean, I feel it outside. I'm wearing a spring dress. Here we are. So I'm excited to see you in real life. Anybody who's interested in speaking or working with Karen Carey, go to her website. Is it just KarenCarey.com now? Or
no, unfortunately, no, that wasn't available. So it's actually Ruby, RUBY Red, Ruby Red Road, ROAD.com. RubyRedRoad.com.
Road.com. And it has nothing to do with my daughter, Ruby. It's just a quick.
No, it doesn't, but what a great name.
What a great name. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Again, anyone who wants to get in touch with Karen or work with her, you can find it through the PaletteCommunity.com website or her own website, RubyRedRoad.com. Anyone interested in joining the Palette community, we are doing half-off memberships right now for Women's History Month, and we've extended that until April 15th. So now is the time to get in here, be part of what we're growing and building together. And what's really so cool about it is like growth is just the goal here, like on a micro level and a big level. And we want you to be part of it. We want you to grow too. So join us.
Yay.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Friday, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks.